So this has definitely been a show that has been on my radar ever since it's been announced. Anytime you see a series with a lot of popularity behind it, you keep your eye on it. It could be exceptional, it could be mediocre, and got popular for just very simple reasons. But once I saw the PV, the trailer for this, before the season started, I knew I was in for a show that was going to knock my socks off. And this first episode did, and I know, or at least I believe it leaked quite a few weeks early, but this is the first official release for episode 1 of JUJUTSU Kaisen, and I am blown away. I was actually surprised by how charmed I was by the general interactions before the insanity of fighting curses took place, which was a visual treat. It was phenomenal to look at, everything about it was exceptional, and honestly, the first episode left me with the impression that if the quality keeps up, it could be a contender for anime of the season. Obviously, people hate when you say, oh, could this be anime of the season? You've only watched one episode, the season just started. But I think it's very easy to watch the first episode and get the impression, is this going to be so good in the future that it could be, a lot of people, even myself included, as anime of the season? And for me, it gave me that impression. Will it live up to that? Only time will tell, but I mean, this first episode definitely set the bar high for what could be anime of the season. What I really liked about this episode, obviously, besides just the stunning visual production and incredible music directing, is the general relationships. And I don't know if this is something that people are going to agree with or going to call me crazy, but something I really liked about Mob Psycho 100 was the general banter between characters. It was silly, it was absurd, it was absolutely ridiculous. And Jujutsu Kaisen gave me that exact same feel, where you have Yuji and his group of occult friends, and just the way they interact with each other, or more importantly, I think the most Mob Psycho moment to me was where this coach is basically just forging names and stuff so he would get this man on his team so they could win the nationals, because he's just that talented. His physical capabilities are remarkable. And they have this very simple competition where our boy tosses the ball so far, breaks the soccer net, and he's just left so dumbfounded and people are taking pictures with him in the background. It was just such a charming addition to the show that clearly is going to have so many dark and twisted undertones, especially considering how the episode ends with our boy being possessed after getting this amazing ability, rather than going with the typical and cliche that he's just an all-powerful person, 1 in a million shot, and of course because he's the main character he was able to consume a cursed finger and gain the power of gods, it seems like. And you see him being like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go kill a bunch of people. And I'm like, okay, I mean, that's a very interesting way to kind of start the episode, seeing him all chained up, and then ending the episode with him trying to commit mass murder. And then seemingly his will's so strong, he's actually fighting back that persona. And I think that's an interesting twist where you have like a killer mind in your head telling you to do evil things, where you're like, yeah, I'm just not gonna do that. There's just such a charm about this show that I honestly felt like watching the preview, it was going to be something I was really invested in because visually it looks stunning. This episode definitely lived up to what the trailer set my expectations to. Rather than going with what a lot of studios will do when they have like spirits or occult-like things, they'll go 3D, and some people will criticize that, where I'm on the fence of saying, hey, you know, if you're gonna have something that's supposed to be unworldly, make it not blend in with the characters and make it feel unnatural, and if you do the 3D well enough, you can really stick the landing. This series actually went 2D, and in doing so, you can tell they are separate. You can tell these beasts do not belong next to these character models, but it's such an interesting aesthetic that it just sucks you in, and you know it's unnatural, but it's beautiful for the aesthetic and art style that they went for. And it looks like such a contrast to what you're currently seeing, but especially in those dimly lit scenes, it looks so gorgeous to see them either fighting or just looking at them at static imagery. It's beautiful what they're able to accomplish with that, and I think they're going to have a lot of fun with such a wide variety of styles that they can work with. The high quality action, which was stunning. I mean, you're seeing our boy basically grabbing arms and throwing them off the roof, it felt like. There was just a lot of cool elements to it, especially considering there's like this magical jujutsu, like magical abilities where you can summon wolf or other spirits. So I think there's going to be some fun visual flair to this, and I think MAPPA is going to go all out. Even if you haven't liked some of their previous works, their animation for their fights have been incredible. And in terms of pacing and narrative structure, it feels like it got you accustomed to the formula, showing you that it isn't just all occult fights, it's not just curses and things like that, giving you a history and the idea of warding off evil spirits, you know? It gives you the idea, it gives you some simple world building, characterization. I mean, there's some great moments with our main character's grandpa, who is very much just saying, go live your own life. I thought it was just kind of like that angry grandpa trope, but then as the episode progresses before he passes away, it's very much clear that he was ashamed of his own life and didn't want the grandson, the one person who tried to be with him in his end of his life. He wanted him to enjoy his life and not end up like a failure like him. And I thought that was such a touching moment. And just constantly throughout the episode, I felt like they were saying, here's what you expect the show to be, but we're going to twist it ever so slightly. Rather than just having the angry grandpa trope, it was a caring grandpa who wanted his grandson not to be a failure. Rather than just giving your main character a 1 in a million ability, you gave him a 1 in a million ability that's trying to make him kill and do mass murder. There's this visual flair to it in terms of blending the real versus the mythical, and just every little step of the way while having the comfy almost, and I know some people will hate that I compared it to Mob Psycho, some people will love that comparison. That's just how I personally feel, and I'm saying that as a compliment. I love how you can have these insane action set pieces, but then you can have this goofy banter right after, and it just feels like it's a seamless transition, and not many series can get that right. So me saying that as a comparison is me just the easiest way to rationalize what I'm saying, because I've seen things that have done it in a similar way, but clearly Jujutsu Kaisen is doing its own unique flair, and I love that about this show. It feels bold, it feels distinct, and I mean, this is going to be one of the more unique shows of 2020 for sure. I mean, unless the pacing goes completely off the rails and the production just slips midway through, which I don't think it will. I feel like unless this is going to be a 2-core, there's no real chance for anything dipping, and even if it was a 2-core, I doubt Mappa's going to really kind of mess it up, because Mappa does have plenty of teams working on individual shows, so it's not like just because they have a bunch of projects that they can't handle this. They have multiple teams dedicated to certain anime, so I'm really hoping this one sticks its landing. In terms of visual flair, A+. In terms of the characters, solid B for me. It feels like it wants you to get invested in the characters and the personalities first and foremost. And our main character, Yuji, has a personality that really resonates with me, because I love what he's able to do in terms of being this cool, calm, collected persona. While you can say, oh, he's, just so nonchalantly interacting with so many things, he's not crying when his grandpa died. He's only a little bit scared, kind of jumping into basically fighting curses, but it just feels like that's his persona. It feels like he's someone who's very level-headed, and because he's so he's an anomaly for this world. Even before swallowing a finger of a cursed being, he was very much just doing things that were unnatural, so I think that plays a part into his actual character, and I'm sure that will be explored down the line. I doubt he's gonna die next episode, but I mean, I'm very intrigued with how he ended up in the intro scene, because that was pretty incredible to me. Overall, this was a very solid episode that has me honestly foaming at the mouth for more, and I'm really excited to see where they're going to take future episodes, because it has style, it has class, it has animation, music was top notch, especially in the action scenes. Overall, it felt like the complete package, and I hope his friends that he has in this occult club will actually be relevant characters, because that'll add an even extra visual flair and just spice to the mix that I really enjoy, because I think having those relationships really elevates a series like this to the next level. I'm sure there's going to be some people who watch this first episode maybe not be as interested in the relationships and the characters' personalities, say, oh, we've seen this before. People are going to hype this up because it has really pretty animation, or some people may just not like the kind of blend between the occult and the spirits and the normal characters. For me, it just kind of hits a sweet spot of like good music, good visuals, solid character personalities, and honestly some emotional high points in the first episode. I actually was ready to be like, I'm really excited before seeing that our boy was actually able to fight off his voice in his head. I was like, are we gonna have like an episode where he's gonna like regain control, and immediately he just so casually is like, hey, what are you doing? This is my body. It's ridiculous, don't get me wrong, but there's a charm about that ridiculousness that really has me excited for the future of this series, and just what type of characters we're going to see and meet in terms of fighting the spirits or wanting the spirits to overtake the world. And then you also just have the ridiculous beasts that we're fighting, which are so grotesque and just monstrous that I think the studio is going to have a really fun time adapting probably some crazy visuals in terms of the manga panels and turning it into a monstrosity on screen in the best possible sense, so I'm quite excited for sure. Let me know your thoughts and feelings down below. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Your favorite moment? Whatever you're feeling, of course, let me know. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like to share your support and hit that subscribe button if you have been new around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.